Alright, so welcome back, and in this video we're going to assemble this all together. So if you haven't seen any of the other 5 videos that I put out pertaining to how to create all of these parts, that's probably a good idea or a good place to start. But in this video we're going to strictly just assemble this together and then we'll move to the next step. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so in the other 5 videos that I created, there are 2 things that I did not create. One is this grease nipple, and the other one is this hex head screw. The reason I didn't do that is because mainly in Inventor, those parts are located in the Content Center. So that's one of the things that you want to make sure that you install when you first installing it on your computer. Always install the Content Center. Here you see all of the 5 parts that I created, and these are just the recent. If you don't have them listed there, it's totally okay. Let's go ahead and select the new icon here. Once again, I'm going to be using the metric one. And this time, I'm going to be using an assembly. And the assembly that we're going to use is a standard millimeter IAM. So let's go ahead and create that. And like always, we'll give Inventor a few seconds to load up. Once it's loaded, let's go ahead into the place component. So here's where we're going to start selecting our parts. Just like when we start a sketch, it says place under here, so that means this icon is the place component icon. Once I select this, I'm going to navigate to those parts, and the first part that I'm going to bring in is going to be this base. So I'm going to select the base IPT, go ahead and hit open, and then you're going to see it start following your cursor around. I'm just going to zoom back a little bit, and you can choose to place this anywhere, but the easiest thing to do if you want to keep everything centered is do a right click. So do not left click when it's following you around, and then hit place grounded at origin. Once you do that, it'll be placed right in the middle the way you want it. And then go ahead and hit the escape button to get out of the command. So here's our base that we have created. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the bracket in. Now if we refer back to the drawing, we're going to need 2 brackets. So it's really good in this program. If we create one, we can always bring in multiple. So let's go back to the place. I'm going to scroll down until I find my bracket. Select that and hit open. Then I'm going to place one on this side and one on this side. Escape. Alright, so here's the first thing that we're going to do in learning how to put things together. They have a few different options on how you do it, but by far the easiest way is just to use constraints. But you do have a joint option and you have an assemble option. But the constraint option is what usually people, when they first learning how to do this program, is they're going to use how to, or learn how to constrain. So I'm going to go to constraint. And then I know that I want this hole here to be in line with this hole. So I can use that option just to do it. And I'm going to do this one a little differently. So I'm going to choose this axis. So you notice that once I get the axis icon, I'll do a left click there. And likewise in here, I'll do a left click. So now that snapped those 2 together, go ahead and hit OK. I'll hit the escape button, and then you can see if you drag this thing up, it's going to pivot around that circle. Alright, let me do it again with the other constraint. So if I go to constraint and I choose this option, once again I'm choosing these axes, and once I do that one, it will snap around to that location. Hit the apply button, and now I have one more that I'm going to do, and I'm just going to kind of rotate this up by selecting that location. I'm going to select this face, and I'm going to come back to my view cube, and I'll select this top cube, then I'll select that. Once I hit OK, you're going to see that that object is totally locked down. Another one of those things that's in 2024 here, you can see that it has a solid dot on it. If you see anything with solid dots, that means it's fully locked down or fully constrained in this case. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this other one on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this hole at this location. Just like I did before, I'm going to choose the constraint option. But instead of using this mate and flush option, I'm going to use the insert option. So I'll choose insert. I'll look at the bottom of this, and I'm going to select this hole. I'm going to select back up here at the top of my view cube, and then I'll select this circle, and it's going to snap together. So the insert command has 2 things in it. It has a faced or a flush or a mate is what I should say. And it also has an align function in it. All right, so with that command, you can see that both of them, so it is touching and it is already aligned to that circle. Once I hit the apply button, I can use the insert command again on the other side, but it's no need since it's already, those two surfaces are already touching. So I'm just going to use a regular mate constraint. Let's go ahead and flip this thing around. I'm going to select that axis like I did the first time, and then I'm going to select this axis. And it should snap and spin it around. Go ahead and hit the OK button. And you can see now that that bracket is fully locked down and constrained. And basically what that means, if I left click and hold and try to move any of these, you see that I'm getting a stop sign. And on this one, you can see that it is grounded because that was the first option that I chose. All right. The next thing, let's go ahead and put this spindle on the inside of here. So we're going to go ahead and place component. Let's go find our spindle. I'm going to scroll down. Spindle. Go ahead and hit the open button. Then I'm going to select here. Go ahead and hit escape. And now I'm going to place it in line with this one. So there's a couple of different options that I'm going to show you because I have to also center that roller with this. But the first option I'm going to do is show you how to use these planes along with this plane. So I want to make sure both of those are in line with each other. So I'm going to choose the constraint option. And the first one I'm going to choose is this axis with that axis. Go ahead and hit OK. And now you can see that this thing can freely move between these two. And what I'm doing to do this is I'm just simply left clicking and holding on this object and dragging left and right. All right. I really want this to be in the center with this one. So here's one of those benefits of whenever you created this stuff is that those origin planes are also located under here to where we can use them. So I'm expanding the base and I'm also expanding the spindle. Where it says origin, I'm going to expand that one on my spindle. And I'm going to expand the origin on my base. So the one that I'm looking for is this plane that's going right through the middle here. I'll choose constrain. And then I'm going to go and find the likewise plane that's running through the middle on this one. So I'm going to hover to it and you can see it is the XY plane. I'll left click and select that one. And let's go ahead and change the options here. So sometimes you might have to change these options. You'll see the first one is a mate and the other one is a flush. It kind of depends on how it's rotated in there. So you may have to choose between which option you want to do. And then hit OK. Let me go ahead and close these back. So this one is totally not constrained because you know you can spin this thing. So if you want to lock it down all the way, you can. No one is really going to see that. But if you want to be on the safe side, we can do that as well. And let me go ahead and expand these back again. And then I can choose this constrain option again. And I'm going to choose the plane here, which is the XY plane. And likewise on here. So once I select both of those, you should get a snap between it. Go ahead and hit the apply button. Also, when you're hitting constraints, and I don't know if you noticed this, depending on if you have your sound turned on or not, you should hear a clicking noise. When you hear that clicking noise, that means that it is constrained. If you don't hear that clicking noise, go to the solution and then select the other option. Okay, so now I have my base, I have my two brackets, and I have my spindle here. And if I collapse all of these, and this is the quick way of collapsing, is selecting that drop down, all of these get a black dot. All right, so next let's go ahead and put our roller in. And I'll show you a different way of how to tackle in the roller. I'm going to go to place. I'm going to scroll down till I find the roller. Go ahead and hit OK. And then place it here. All right, let's escape since we don't need more of them. We're going to use the constraint option. I'm going to choose this axis. And then I'll choose this axis. So these two are now in line with each other. Go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to drag this off a little bit. And what I want to do now is that I want to center this a different way. So if I select the roller, expand origin, and now I know that I have this plane which is in the center of my roller because I created it that way. And that's once again, I know I sound like a broken record, but always try to keep your parts centered because those planes can be used whenever you're constructing it. All right, so I have the XY plane. I'm going to go to constraint, and this time I'm going to choose the symmetric option. and I'll choose symmetric. I'm going to choose this face. I'm going to rotate around till I find this face. And then the last option I'm going to choose is going to be that center plane here, which is the YZ plane. And once you do that, it will center it over those three planes. So if I take a look at this on the front view or the back view, you can see that it is in line and centered. If you want it to be totally locked in, and it shows that it is, but I know this thing should be able to roll. But I guess the center took care of that. Oh, okay. That's another neat feature of it. But remember that if you don't have the black dot here, you can always constrain it just like how we did the spindle with the ones that are going right in the middle along the XY plane. Next, let's go ahead and bring in our bushing, and we have two of those. So I'm going to select this, scroll down, I'm going to find bushing, open, and then I have two places where I'm going to place it. The quickest thing to use on this one is going to be the insert command. So I'm going to choose constraint, insert. I'm going to choose that circle. And once I kind of rotate around, I want you to kind of see where I'm looking at. Shouldn't have rotated it that way. I can choose either one of these circles. I can choose this one. And now I'm going to look at it on this back view to see if this is indeed thicker than the other one. All right, so you see that this one is a little bit higher, so that means I have to change my solution. And once I change it, oh, I did have it right the correct way. So you can see how this one does stick out, and that's just one way of checking. So I'm going to turn it back this way, hit the apply button, and then I'll go and grab my other one. So I'm going to select that circle, and I'll place it here. And like the other one, you can see if it's sticking in or out by changing the solutions. And then go into OK. Let's go ahead and put this in an isometric. This thing can rotate because it can spin. And remember, if we want to lock that down, we can always put it to that XY plane that we created this with. But in this case, it's not necessary. It's just going to spin 360 degrees, and that's really not going to do anything. All right, let's go ahead and put our grease fitting in that fits here. So once again, make sure that you have the content center loaded. Underneath the drop down, I'm going to hit the place under here, and then I'm going to choose place from content center. Give it a second for the content center to load up, and it should be a dialog box that should give you a lot of different things. So depending on what you was on last, that's what it tries to pick. But I'm going to go ahead and find the grease fitting first. So I'm going to collapse my fastener here, and then I'm going to look underneath other parts, grease fitting. And then I'm looking for the one that is metric. So I'll choose this one. Go to OK. Now, Inventor will try to automatically select things for you. And in our case, this one is just asking us for an M6. And I'll show you back on the PDF. But I'm just going to use this M6. And then I'll go ahead and place it here once it loads it from the content center. So once again, keep in mind that depending on how fast or slow your computer going to go, it might take a little bit to load it. So I'm going to click here. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the PDF. So now you can see where I got that M6 from, and that's what it's going to be here. Now, there are some typical bolts that you're going to see in Inventor, and this one happens to be a special length of 22 long, but I think the ones that are in the content center goes by increments of 5. So we might have to put in a 25 one instead of a 22 hex head. All right, so just go ahead and hit the escape button, or you can see I actually selected two of them. I'm going to hit the escape button. I'm going to select this one, and then I can delete it by just hitting the delete button on my keyboard. All right, so I want to go ahead and put this Zerk, sorry, not a Zerk, well, it is called a Zerk nipple, but this grease fitting into this location. I'm going to choose constraint, insert. I'm going to find this circle here. Then I'm going to place it at this circle here. Go ahead and hit OK. Next, let's go ahead and create our bolts that are running through here. So it's already set to place from content center, so I'm just going to select this top icon. Give it a second. We're going to minimize this one, and we're going to open the fastener one, and we're going to create a bolt. we have a hex head bolt. Double click on that. Now it should give you all of the options that you're going to have. The easiest one to select is going to be this metric one, and if you had inches, you can just select this one. So I'm going to double click on that one. Now, sometimes it wants to auto select for you, and what this is doing is that it says, hey, pick a hole and I'll match up what you need. If you don't want that, just go ahead and hit the escape button. I'm giving it a chance because it's trying to cycle between some stuff. Let me go back to that command. I have the metric one here. So I'm going to double click. And this time I'm just going to right click. And then I'm going to hit place. And if I wait, it should give me the dialog box that I'm looking for. So it's asking me what's the nominal size. And this is actually not the chart that I wanted to show you. But we do have the size of this. It's as a M10 1.5 and it's 22 long. So I can scroll down in this box here, but that's actually not the one that I want. Let me try one other step here. So I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to go back to the command center. I'm sorry, the content center. This time I am going to let it auto drop, and I think I'll just change the size from there. So I'm going to select this hole. And you can see now it's giving me that. I want to change the size. So all I did was right click when I had it hovered over that hole and did a right click. And then it gives me change size, and now it should bring me a dialog box that I can use. That should be a little bit user friendly. Alright, so I have it set to an M10, which is what I want. The length of it is going to be 25. Go ahead and hit the OK button. And now I have that bolt located up on the inside of this one. And I think this one should stick out just a little bit. So that's what you're seeing here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and put the other ones on. So I'm going to go back to the content center. And I'm just going to let it auto drop it. And if it's done correctly, then I shouldn't have to go ahead and check those sizes. So I'm here. Go ahead and hit the OK button. I'm going to select that hole. Once again, I need to change the size of this one again. So once I clicked and placed the hole that time, you see that it gave me another dialog box. And usually this works a little bit easier than this, but it's going to be the 25 is what I'm looking for. Hit the apply. And then it should actually keep going in the command to let me drop this to other locations. All right, and let's take a look at the auto drop location or the auto drop option that's inside of this command. And you can keep repeating these if it is the same size. I'm just kind of showing you a few different options of what you can do on the inside of this one. This time I can place this one. And then they do have a auto drop location. So if I go to auto drop, it's going to automatically put the other one. And you can see that circle is dashed here. And I choose the auto drop. And I guess I could have changed the actual size of it here. And you can see both of them should auto drop and change. And once I hit this check mark, it should put one here and one on the other side. Let's go ahead and hit escape and see if it did do that. Nope, it did not. I guess I did not invoke the auto drop location. Let's do it one more time. And I may have to do other videos just showing you this, that this does work a lot quicker than what I'm doing today. So if I place it here, it automatically got the right size for me. Go ahead and hit the apply button, and now I'll escape out of it. Alright, so now we have this thing totally assembled. And what we're going to do in the next video that you're going to see in this series is that we're going to actually make a presentation file of this. What I mean by that is that I'm going to wind up exploding all of this, making some kind of exploded assembly. And then I'll also show you how to make that a movie where you can show that actually coming back together. So if you've never seen that done in a 3D program before, Inventor does have that. And if you are kind of one of those guys that deal with multimedia or stuff of that nature, it does create a storyboard at the bottom. And we're going to play with that a little bit just to get it the way we want to. Okay, let's go ahead and save this one before we do anything. So I'm just going to go to save. And then I'm just going to call this the Trolley Wheel. I notice I did not capitalize the first letter here. Go ahead and save it, because you will need this assembly when you get to the next step, so make sure that it is saved. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. It was a little long, but there's a lot of little steps in here that I'm trying to explain to you, and hopefully you can grasp the concept of what I'm trying to show you in the assembly. And maybe some other videos I'll show you how to use the joint and the assemble options as well. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments. So thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe if you enjoy watching this. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.